lowest like Robert Ruano had a unique pleasure of being here with Mayor Steve Bovo of Hialeah. How are you?
Thank you for the opportunity. Great setting here.
Right. We got a great site. Bikes everywhere. So why we're here is for the TPO delegation to the Netherlands to learn about bike immersion program. We'll talk a little about that. I'd like to know a little bit about you.
Going on my third year as mayor, I've had a pretty long extensive career in the city. I've been the county commissioner for about 10 years, served the state legislature for 3 years, and also as a city council member for 10 years before that. So body of work of 20 plus years in 4 different capacities, and so my linkage to Hialeah is very solid. Better part of 24 years.
You've been living in 24 years.
We moved in Hialeah. We had one home, then the family started growing, and we moved to the current home we're now that we've been there. Oh, I want to say maybe 21 years old.
You know, that's interesting because I forgot you were a
Yeah. I did a total of 1 term and a half. I think I want to say 3 full sessions. Before the commission seat that was for the area of the commission 13 became available, then I went ahead and ran. That became available through a recall process where, if those remember, Mayor Alvarez at the time and Mayor Tachasejas recall by the voters, creating vacancies. And then I always liked local politics much more than I did and ran for the commission, and then obviously we were mayor of the county. As a runoff, we didn't end up successful, but it really did open the door to want to serve the residents of the city of Hialeah. Always had my back, and always had their back. So I didn't. I was a Westchester kid. Grew up. I went to public schools, Village Elementary, W.R. Thomas, Huntsville High School. This is back in the 70s, but I was a Westchester kid. My Hialeah really starts with working at the racetrack. At the Hialeah racetrack, I worked there from 1992 to 2008. Doing marketing and advertising, government work for them. And so everybody was seeing me very involved in what was going on in Hialeah because of my obligations to the racetrack and work. And then right around 2007, I knew I was going to run for legislature. I knew I wanted to do public service. And so I moved to the city of Hialeah, and later I got appointed to the city council. I didn't really think about running legislature, but ended up on the city council of the city of Hialeah. Served there about 10 years.
You're very young.
I had hair back there. Dark hair. I was must have been in my early late 20s.
And that's bold. I think it's bold to run for office, really too, and to have a career, successful career in many different offices. Yeah, it's very.
I gotta be honest, I don't know if I fully understood what I was getting into. There is a sacrifice that comes along with it, and usually the family is one that pays that sacrifice more than anything else. I've been blessed. My kids, my wife have all been extremely supportive. My wife was very involved in the process also in Washington, D.C. as an aide to Senator Rubio. So that has allowed her to understand what I do, and that has also given me the wind in me behind my sails to be able to, really try to do this food right.
So she works for Rubio.
She works. She's in Miami, but she travels, twice a month. For 34 days a week to DC and Western Hemisphere. So technically English and it does require her to be, on board, not disconnected. So, but she's been doing the center now for the better part of since he was in the majority of this capacity. So she's been, it's been a fun.
Really good. Yeah. So tell us about Hialeah. When people know Hialeah, but I'll tell you one thing. Hialeah's gotten a lot more force. Tell us about what would you know?
So it's the largest city in the state of Florida, second largest in downtown. It's been for a while now, immigrants, many Cuban Americans have come to South Florida, have a touch point in Hialeah. I tell people who watch their American dream in Hialeah. And for a long time, I think it was a place where maybe people would, I don't want to say look down, but they would Hialeah a lot of jokes, because that's where somebody would come and start their journey, right? And if you start a journey, you don't want to go to the same place, right? So you have to move out. So what's happened in the last couple of years is when we've seen the influx of people coming into the county, we've seen skyrocketing rents. Hialeah's been able to find its niche, and all of a sudden we've been attractive young professionals that perhaps can't afford to live in Brickell, can't afford to live in Colgate, can't afford to live in Miami Beach, and they're looking at Hialeah as an alternative. The rent is high in Hialeah, but it's still about $400 less than other places with similar products. So,
Well, they also closed down. And stuff.
well, there's TPOs that you got three metro rail stations that now gives you this connectivity, and you could literally work in downtown, live in Hialeah, just jump on the train and you're downtown in 10 minutes. So that I think has become an attractor for folks to look at Hialeah. And then, as I've said many times, Hialeah is situated in a way that we're 5 minutes from the beach, 5 minutes from downtown Hialeah, 3 minutes from the airport. You could be in the heart of Broward County in 15 minutes. You could be on your way to Naples within 20 minutes with all the connectivity. And I think people have now gotten an appreciation of that. And what it has brought a lot of folks investing. We're going to work in the city of Hialeah, which is extremely important if we want to protect the tax base that we have not raised in the last 15 years. Take military, we have to touch it. And important for residents to understand that new development that comes in allows us to keep flat so that we can provide the services that we need.
And Hialeah, sure, we're in 1925, so you're coming up on a centennial.
Big birthday party coming up, absolutely.
How did Hialeah start? Quickly,
It's a story of pioneer. Land speculators that came in, a lot of aviation folks that came in, the Glenn Curtis's come into Hialeah, exploring opportunities. They started investing, creating a city. Some would say for a long time it was a redneck town or really a very Anglo city. And then all of a sudden a transformation starts in the early 60s. The influx of Americans were very welcome in the city of Hialeah. And over the course of time, obviously, the Cuban American community becomes the dominant group in the city of Hialeah. Ironically, now Hialeah was a Democrat city one time. Now it is a shining red city as far as its politics is concerned. So it's interesting because it has transformed over time. But what I think we continue to a thread from the past to today in regards to Hialeah is this humble nature of its residents. Hardworking folks, blue collar, no frills, they need the fancy stuff. And that I think gives a certain character to Hialeah. And I always say, I've said it jokingly when I was in the county, I represented the Brooklyn of the South. Hialeah is the Brooklyn of the South. We all got a little chip on our shoulder. We all work a little bit harder than everybody else to try to achieve what we want to. And that gives us this territorial like, kind of mark up a line in the sand. And let people know that we're proud of where we come from. And we've been built, we're standing on the shoulders of, like I said, pioneers and hardworking people.
Right. And I want to talk about this trip. Obviously, it's a different place. We were supposed to be in the studio, but we're here. But I do want to what are some things that you're trying to achieve in Hialeah?
Well, when I was on the county commission and I had the blessings to be the chair of the board, I made an initiative to work on the issues of transportation. I thought, if there's an Achilles heel in South Florida, it's our ability to move. And I said on the record, and I'll say it again, we were not gonna be able to draw like an Amazon headquarters into Miami-Dade County if we didn't solve this problem. Nobody's gonna come and create thousands of well-paying jobs in the city in Redwood, right? And so my passion to try to figure out how can we do things the right way, not force things down people's throat, but give them options, give them real options to use. And collaborated with the folks at the TPO back then. This is my third stint as chair of the TPO, and back then, we were trying to figure out let's make it a reality. A false promise will happen. Let's see if we can make it real. We created legislation to create other sources of funding, and with I would say a steadfast resolution that we needed to grow our metro system. And so the metro rail, obviously. So there has been my driving passion to get this thing done. Because we've got talent in Miami-Dade County. We got the weather, very cosmopolitan. We're gonna be top 10 in everything, right? Beach, clubs, discos, you name it. We're always gonna be top 10. We got the healthcare components, we got the education components, but we're missing that piece of transit. And I think our residents are asking for it. They don't want politics involved. They just want to get it done. And it's really up to a generation of elected officials to make the tough decisions. But they need to make. They got to get it done. It's not like let's vacillate on this and keep back and forth. And so that's kind of been my driver. On now this year of the TPO, I continuously remind my colleagues, we're only going to be here a certain amount of time. And there's going to be a generation that's going to look and say, what did they do while they were here? And so hopefully these kind of trips gives us maybe a compass on what we can do.
Let's talk about that actually, because I'll give a brief thing. So I think there's like 35 people that have found TPO, the Transportation Planning Organization, the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, Palm Beach County TPA, Broward, right? Several mayors from Broward, Palm Beach, Commissioner of KBB, a lot of staff. So it's been great. We've had the Dutch Factory Embassy training, but then again, we've been here, been to Rotterdam, been to Utrecht, been to Houten. Tell us about that. Tell us, because we've done 3 bike tours. Been on there, done 3 bike tours in 3 days. Very different from where we're from.
Sure.
Tell us what you think that what was the most impressive thing, and obviously we're very different. But what is your big takeaway, and what do you think that we can do with?
So I think there's a lot of stuff to unpack. First and foremost, we need to acknowledge that the culture here pays homage to the cyclists. Right. What we've seen here for the most part, maybe in some cases in Rotterdam wasn't the case, but in most part, there's an acknowledgement that we're sharing the road with bicycle riders, and it's developed into a form here that it's used to go to work, used to go to the market. It has literally taken the car out of the equation in many cases. Now we know that in South Florida, the weather is an inhibitor, but there are some lessons. One, and I got this from day one, even before we went out on our bikes, was that in The Hague, for example, all the ingredients for a robust transit opportunity are in place. We've got trains, we've got trolleys, we've got buses, and then you've got bikes that they really. And it's like the bike is the cherry on top, right? And that's something, a lesson learned for us that I think we should take back to our communities and talk to them, is that if you could create that foundation, solid foundation, then you can start building upon it. So I think that was, to me, very, very important to understand. We saw probably the holy grail in Houten, where the winding roads, the bike segregated trails, very easy to maneuver. We saw kids on bikes, we saw adults, we saw all ages riding on bikes, and I thought that was extremely, extremely important. But perhaps Rotterdam was the best example of all our trips, because Rotterdam was leveled by the Nazis during World War II. And it was built with a lot of American influence in that. They built white streets. And the Netherlands, I think, started taking back their identity after a while, when they started shrinking streets. And obviously that comes at a collision point, no pun intended, with cars and the right of way. But they're getting it, right? And so I think Waterloo is a good example for us to maybe look at downtown Miami, Dayland area, maybe parts of Hialeah, where car is dominant, but we could maybe figure out ways where we're gonna make it less dominant in certain areas, so promote another path of mobility. And I think it can be done. I think even in our city, with 3 metro stations, and 3 TOEs growing, I think we have the opportunity to do something where we create some connectivity. And again, my mantra is that we give people choices. If you want to take a car, I'm not one to try to remove the car away. But I do like to have the choice, and perhaps one day you say, well, I'm not gonna take the car today. I'm gonna go ahead and go to a train and go to where I want to go. But yeah, it's been very informative. It works.
I think that's a great conversation, because you're talking basically, we call first mile.
Yeah.
They basically call 3 miles, so it's about like, 4 miles, right? But first and last mile. So what potentially could you say to one train station, one metro station? You know, what do you think? Like, what?
Well, I think couple things to understand about Hialeah. We're going right now through a charrette process with our planning and zoning folks and really the entire city. We've been meeting with residents to create a blueprint of what does Hialeah look like in 2050, right? We need to start putting the building blocks together for a future generation. Obviously, we attend the issues that are important of the day, but we should start putting those building blocks in place today. So to me, when one of the takeaways from here is understand that for many of us, when we talk about biking, it's leisure activity. Here, they're talking about biking in a way that is literally taking folks to work, giving folks a different option, right?
Transportation.
Exactly. So what I'd like to do is maybe, or one of the takeaways is sit down with my planning and zoning folks and say, okay, let's look at one of those stations with all the development, the amount of people that may live there. Okay, how do we create the area to park your bikes, be the path? Maybe at the beginning, it's not a robust bike path, but it does take you to a couple of critical points, right? And let's see how that works. And if people start seeing it as a viable option, then maybe you just extend it a little more and extend it a little.
Well, let me ask you something, because this is a big point with a lot of cities. We have 34 municipalities in Miami-Dade County. And so take room for bikes. You got to take, well, if you make room for bikes, you got to take room for something else.
Mhm.
So that could potentially mean a road diet, a lane diet. So getting rid of the lane, right? Getting rid of parking, changing parking, reducing size of lanes. Is that something that you think any of those that potentially,
I think it's possible, the closer you are to the TOD, to go ahead and manipulate that. There's always ways of doing it as a pilot program and see how that reacts. You could always create a one lane, one way, and then, kind of flip lanes around. I think all of us as drivers, we're creatures of habit. So if we drive and we find, oh, I can't turn here anymore, I'll just find another place to turn. So maybe sometimes we shouldn't be so fearful that we're offending somebody when we're trying to give a menu option for folks, right? So pilots aren't a bad idea, but I do think that if I've got a development that has, let's say, 800 units, I need to create something that will allow them, whether they bike or they walk, but take them to the places that they want to go. And another thing that we're doing in Hialeah is we're trying to create a circulator, very similar to a people mover, but this is at grade, where we're going to have a trolley-like system going into a circular pattern constantly to start creating that synergy where people could say predictably, every 25 minutes, every 45 minutes, this is coming. Let me wait for it. And here are all the points it takes me to on a daily basis. We're just, I always say we're the second largest city in Miami-Dade County. We need to start acting like the second largest city in Miami-Dade County and start investing. When I became mayor, we made our bus system free. Our ridership went through the roof. And I think a lot of people see transit as a service. It is a service, right? So, and we have the flexibility that you did not have in the county, or at least I didn't have in the county, was to change routes as sees fit. We contract, and then we could always manipulate to fix. But I think, coming here, seeing lessons learned, understanding that we're not going to become this overnight. And then not necessarily this works in South Florida, but there are variations that definitely work in South Florida. And they started back in the sixties and seventies to do this stuff, right? So, maybe part of our work is dialogue with young people in our community, young college students, high school students, and ask them, soon we're gonna turn the keys of the city over to you guys. What is it that you'd like to see happening so that when you get the keys to the city, there's already work being done to build upon the dreams that they have.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we were the young people trying to get things done, and now we're the old guys. And now the new generation has to come in.
Father time's undefeated, my friend. So we just need to make sure that what we're doing is gonna fit their needs and what their aspirations are. And I've already had some dialogue with young people, they're looking at freebie as options, they think differently. I remember being 15 years old, couldn't wait to get my, my restricted permit to drive and then my license. And I need a car now, And I do realize that there's some people now that are thinking of alternative ways. They don't want a car.
Young kids don't. They have Uber.
They tell them to wait as much as they can before they get a car with the insurance of a car, gas, maintenance, not to mention the monthly payments on a car. It's probably easier.
Well, yeah, obviously that's a benefit, right? It's cheaper. And if you have a population that is, not of high income, there's a way they can save. But remember, I think I was reading something over here. I think the population of the United States, like 26% is obese or something. I may have that number may be low, right? So, and we noticed here, people are a lot thinner. So maybe there's the health benefit there.
Look, no doubt. The technologies, the comforts of a first-rate nation could come to haunt us, right?
Right.
And I did a stint at Miami Children's Hospital doing some government work for them while I was on the county commission. And I remember the statistics of obesity, of hypertension, starting at very, very young ages. And it's interesting you say that to me because one of the things I'm trying to do in the city of Hialeah is recapture our parks, get more recreational programs. One of the things that we've seen that concerns me greatly as a parent and as somebody who generally likes sports in general is that we're seeing more and more kids segueing into this travel league component. It ends up costing a parent $300, $400, $500 a month to teach their kid how to play basketball, to teach their kid how to hit a fastball. And those kids then are not participating in our rec sport. And what happens then is that if they're not participating, the other kids are like, well, I'm not going to participate either because it's not good or I don't get to play with my friend. And I see long term. I hark back to the way I grew up on my bike as a kid, playing rec baseball, Optimus baseball, football, and I like to emulate as much as I possibly can that upbringing to the kids in my city today. So I work actively with our park guys, and our mindset's always that we got to get kids off the couch, out on the field.
Yeah, like they do here. The kids, you saw them riding.
Oh yeah,
from a young age, from 11, they said they could take a test and they can ride on their own. They could ride to school on their own.
Very impressive.
Saw groups of kids doing that.
Very impressive to see.
I'll tell you something else I saw in Hoodoo today is a school, a primary school, elementary school, had a big field. Kids were playing, right? There was no fence around it, right? Right? When we were kids, there was a fence, but you could get through the fence because there was an opening, right? Then we'd play in the school. Now you've got these big yards and you probably have a lot of schools. You've got all these big green space, but it's closed off to kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're making a good point. And here's another area that we've worked on directly with our school board representative, Robert Ruano.
Oh, he's great.
It's to come with some collaborative ways of us using, first of all, they're all our assets, right? We all pay with our taxes. So whether it's a gym in a school or a field, they really belong to all of us. So what we've done is work with them to open up some of the gyms, high school gyms in my city, so that my rec kids could play basketball indoors. They practice outdoors, but they play indoor. And we're even taking it a step further. We're collaborating with other cities, West Miami, North Miami Beach, in a way that they could also build teams, and then the kids could play against each other, not in all-star team settings, but in rec teams. So the kids that are playing, for example, at Casas Park are going to be able to go and play against a rec team out of North Miami and play indoors. A couple of things come out of that. First of all, the competition. That breeds more kids participating. But these kids are going to get to know each other. They're going to get to know each other across town. Some of these kids may play against each other in high school. There could be friendships. I've always felt that sports is a great segue to building camaraderie, relationships all over our community. We don't do enough of that. We don't do enough of that. A lot of these kids are playing in these rec leagues, or sorry, in these competitive travel leagues, are going out to Tampa, Orlando, and all that. Yeah, they're going to meet kids from Tampa and Orlando, but they're not creating the bond that they should.
Exactly. You know, you've got people, I'm sure you've known since you were a kid.
Oh, absolutely,
Right?
absolutely.
I've got friends that have since we were 10, you know?
Yeah,
So that's important.
absolutely.
Well, we just have a few minutes, but so Mayor of Hialeah, the city that progresses, right? So, what's a couple of things, a takeaway that you would like to give people that really don't know about Hialeah or think they know about Hialeah? What would you like them to know?
Well, I would say this, for those that are investors, that are business owners, come to Hialeah, and if you scratch, you'll find gold in the streets. I mean, there is a product loyalty amongst the residents in Hialeah. If you put a business in Hialeah, our residents feel that you've taken ownership and you've invested in them. And so I'm very rare to see a business open in Hialeah and fail. And so that's one takeaway I think that's extremely important. And I think the second thing is that we are still a city where the American dream is alive and well. A lot of folks come to Hialeah, they start their journey in the American dream. Hialeah is home to the Sedano's franchise. Oh yeah, Hialeah is home to probably one of the most profitable streets, 49th Street, in all of Dade County. Hialeah is a launching pad. It always has been, and it continues to be. And you know, we're seeing a transformation. Young people coming into our city, putting pressure to see new restaurants, new clubs. Soon you'll see development at Hialeah Park that may mirror what you see in Wynwood. Entertainment center, restaurant districts. There's a lot going on in Hialeah. And I've always said, you know, just with government that supports vision, the sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned. And I think the best times for Hialeah is still to come.
Mayor, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
It's been a real pleasure. I guess we'll leave the Hague soon. We'll be back in Miami and to 100-degree weather.
Definitely a lot warmer there. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. God bless. Thanks. Do I end? End it?
Yeah, no, that was great. I'm gonna say the whole domain so they can edit it, but it's fine.
And it was recording, right? All right. Thank you, Mayor. Great time.
All right, I'll see you.
But you know what? I was gonna give you a little grief because I think you went upstairs and shaved, didn't you?
I did.
You didn't? Look at me. I'm like, like I was gonna shave. I looked at my, and like I got all this white thing. You look good though. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great trip.